Hey y'all, so a little bit different video today. I did one of these for offshore and it did pretty well, so I'm gonna do it for inshore. Gonna go over kind of what I use when I go up north to go for redfish, trout, snook, stuff like that. Fishing the Mosquito Lagoon, Banana River, Indian River. So we'll start at the front of the kayak. I like to have a fish bag for my drinks and stuff. Could get away with a cooler, but just in case I get a slot snook during season, I have room, or a surprise sheep's head. And I know I don't use it often, but when I'm going for big trout, I always bring a net. And this net is the one that's like rubber coated, so it doesn't really hurt the trout. It doesn't take off the slime. But as far as redfish go, I don't use it because I really don't care about redfish. Next up, typically I'll carry an extra drive. I have two because I do a lot of miles in my kayak. Most spots I go to, it's on average 5 to 10 mile a day, so I like to have a second drive. I have broken my drive in the past and it comes in handy. Might not come in handy out of every 20 trips, but on that 20th trip when you do break something, it's nice to have. Typically I'll keep it in on top of the fish bag. Now coming to the middle of the kayak, obviously I have my fish finder, and just to kind of map out where I'm going, and especially places like the Mosquito Lagoon when the water's low, I follow my previous tracks just to know, okay, these are the deep water, this is kind of the deep water channel, or at least a deeper flat I can kind of scoot along without hitting my pedals. After that, as far as de-hooking devices go, always got to carry pliers. I also carry a de-hooker. Now, you've seen me use this in the previous videos for like small trout, maybe some small redfish. It's just something I don't have to touch. I can just unhook them real quick and they can get on their way. Typically I'll use it for like a top water, just because small trout love to thrash around, and a lot of treble hooks, I don't want to get hooked. So that's where this comes in handy. For my personal use, I like to carry a speaker because I'll play music on the way to spots and the way from spots. It just helps me kind of pass time and make me forget about the long journey that's ahead. So I'm kind of breezing through these, mostly because I want to get to the meat and potatoes, like the gear as far as like tackling and stuff goes. One of the must-haves if you're gonna inshore fish is a push pole, because when you're going along the flat, it's nice to be able to push yourself versus using a paddle. One thing that's nice about push poles is I can use, like if I'm pushing myself and it's kind of soft and I see a fish, I can stick it in the mud real quick, let it drift away, grab a rod and cast. Whereas a paddle, you have to put down and then cast. So that saves me a little bit of time. Also, what I like to do, I'll stick it in a scupper hole to kind of use it as a poor man's power pole. Mostly because, power poles are outrageously expensive, and this gets the job done. People say, you shouldn't do that because it ruins your scuppers, but I'm not fishing in most of the time I'm not fishing in 20-mile-an-hour winds, so it won't do much damage. I've been doing this for years, hasn't damaged anything. Another piece of valuable equipment, a drift sock. A lot of times when I'm fishing for big trout, I'm covering a wide variety of water and I want to cover it slowly. So I'll set this out so I can slow my drift up and just continue making a bunch of casts. That gives me the most effective range to cover the water that's in front of me, and I don't spook any fish. Alright. Now we're getting to the meat. Well, as far as safety equipment goes, I typically have a life jacket. I do carry a radio, and I do carry a manual pump, just in case. I do carry a bump board too. This is specifically for like big trout or slot snook, just so I know exactly how big they are. If you're going up north, also always bring some bug spray. It's called the Mosquito Lagoon for a reason. Now, as far as rods go, I typically have a 3-rod spread. Gonna pause it right here and talk about the rods that I use and the reels. I forgot to talk about it in the video, but I use all 7-foot rods. One's a custom rod by Adrenaline Rods. Another one's a Crowder rod, and the third one is like a CCA rod. Custom rod's a little bit more expensive. The Crowder rod, I believe, is like $120, I think I paid, and then the CCA rod's like a $50 rod. So I have a wide variety of price range rods. The CCA rod I use for sight fishing. Custom Adrenaline rod I use for blind casting big paddle tails. The Crowder rod I use for topwaters. They're all rated, I believe, 6 to 14 or 7 to 14. All pretty fast action rods. As far as the reels go, I use 2 Naskies and a twin power, just showing that, you know, a $100 reel can get the same thing done as a $400 reel. As far as line goes, for the main line I use 20 or 15 pound, just because I'm dealing with bigger fish and I tend to fish mangroves a lot, so I want to have that power to pull them out. Some people, you know, they carry a bunch of rods, they think it's bass fishing. I keep it simple. A lot of times I'll have one for a top water, one for a big paddle tail, and one for a small paddle tail. The small one's for sight fishing, the big one's for blind casting in the afternoon, and the top water's obviously for the morning. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. As far as the top waters go, I like to run 3 top waters. Typically 3. I used to run a mirror lure sheep up, but I kind of got out of that. But Skitterwalk SW8 or SW12 or 11, sorry. And this is for, you know, if I'm targeting bigger fish. I also carry the SW8 if I want, you know, those mid-range trout, like 20 to 28 inch fish. I'll go with this. Just when I'm looking for a bite, especially on tournament days, I'll go with this. Lately I have been using the Yozuri pencil, I think it's the pencil popper, or pencil or whatever. It's a topwater. And I did catch a 30-inch trout on it. My buddies have caught 30-inch fish on it. but I do lose a lot of fish on it. Get a lot of blow-ups. I'll hook it for a couple seconds and then they'll come off. So for whatever reason, this doesn't hook them as good as the skitter walks. Now the downsides to using the SW8, these hooks are very, very easy to bend. So you have to play them light. So as far as topwaters go, those are my main three. Now, my paddle tails. I mainly like to use slayers. As far as what kind of slayers I use, I'll use, starting with the smallest ones. I believe this is the Houdini color. Could be wrong, but any natural color paddle tail, as far as slayers go, they work well. Second one, I use the Smoking Mullet in the XL. And ironically, like, I didn't really use XLs for a long time, but they stopped making the Grandes and I had to adapt, and that was the next best thing. So I said, you know what, let me try it, and I've had success on it. Now, the third, I use their Grandes, and I use them a little bit different. I'll show you. This one was from my last trip. If you see, I cut off the nipple part and made it into like a 4-inch bait. So you have the 5-inch. See the little difference? And I'll rig this on a 5/0 1/8 ounce twist lock hook. And this will come off every so often after a few fish. I'll just keep trimming it down till it's, you know, unusable. But yeah, you can see the difference in size. It's not really a huge difference, but it makes a difference. Those are my main lures that I use. So real quick, guys, I didn't say anything about the hooks. For the Grandes, I like to use a 5/0 twist lock in the 1/8 ounce. For the XL, I like to use a 4/0, and for the 3-inch, I like a 3/0 1/8 ounce. If the fish are a little bit spooky, I'll go to the 16th ounce. But twist locks all the way. As far as leader goes, this is where I get a little controversial. I don't know if you see that. That says 40 right there. This is what I mainly use. I don't go with, you know, light stuff. I don't go with 20. I don't go with 15. I go with 40 because I want to horse in most of these fish, unless it's a trout, obviously. And when I set the hook pretty hard. And I've broken off with 20, broken off with 25. So I just said, screw it, I'm going with 40. Plus, if there's a little fray on it, I'm still good for a while. The most I'll downsize to is 30. And I rarely go to 30. Like, even if it's ultra clear, I'll still go with 40 and still catch fish. Pretty much all of my inshore videos that you have seen thus far, I've gone with 40. So I very rarely use 30. Some people say, oh, fish see the line and they spook. I've never had that really happen to me, and I've done just fine. But that's pretty much it. I also carry, you know, a pair of RCI regulars for the afternoon. And I also have a pair of low light RCIs just because low lights I can see, sight fish early morning, and then switch over to the regular ones in the afternoon. Or if it's cloudy, I'll switch on and off. I'll have 2 pairs of sunglasses, and then wear one, have one up here, and it'll be just like that. And then sun comes out, I'll switch them like this, just to always have, be able to see. Other than that, that's all I do. That's why I like inshore fishing up north. I keep it very, very simple. I don't do anything flashy. I don't use that trendy baits that everyone uses, like thumper shrimp, NLBNs, or the salt strong stuff. Don't use any of that. I try and stay away from all the hype lures. Heck, when I picked out the color for my skitter walks, I went into Academy. That was the only one they had, and I said, I'm going to use that one. So, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned a little bit. I would say the main difference between what I do and most people do is I'll blind cast. I prefer blind casting. If I can go down a flat and blind cast all day, I'd rather do that than sight fish. It's not the most glamorous. There's going to be a long periods of boredom, but in the end of the day, you'll catch more fish than the next guy. Yeah. Hope this video, I don't know, hope you learned something from this video. I probably will be doing some inshore videos up north shortly, fishing for reds, not for trout. But yeah, if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. Till next time, see ya.